Hello, everyone. For anyone who doesn't know me, my name is Christy, and I am an early childhood educator and family support worker at Mothercraft EarlyON. And today we're going to be talking about how to help your child understand and manage their big feelings. So first of all, before we can help them understand their feelings, we have to, as the caring adults, we have to also be able to understand what they're feeling. Children always have a reason for their feelings, whether or not they have the language or the experience to explain to us how they're feeling, and whether or not we can see what it is that is causing their feelings. So emotional regulation is it's a skill that needs to be learned, just like any other skill, like driving a car. So it needs to be learned through experience, and as children are learning it, we can't expect perfection every time. And in that same vein, as you are working on teaching your child emotional regulation, you can't expect perfection from yourself either, because everyone's learning. But our job as caring adults is to support our children by figuring out what they're feeling and accepting those feelings. All feelings are natural, all feelings are acceptable, even the ones that are uncomfortable. Jealousy, anger, those feelings, they don't feel acceptable, but they are all natural. One important note is that although all feelings are natural, not all behaviors are acceptable. And sometimes when we have big feelings, the big behaviors come as well. And so while we need to accept the feelings, we also need to help our children and ourselves learn how to manage our behaviors even when the big feelings are getting in our way. So when children are first learning to regulate their behaviors, they need your help, they need your support, and they need you to help them to co-regulate their big feelings. So I've got 4 steps, 4 simple steps that can help. So first, be present. Be with your child, not just physically, but also emotionally. 2, label and empathize with your child's feelings. Set limits and deal with behavior if necessary. And number 4, you can do some problem solving together. But before you can expect to understand their emotions and acknowledge their feelings, you'll need to get a better understanding of their world. So especially for children with special needs, some of them have sensory processing issues, which means that things are too noisy or too scratchy or too hot or too sticky. And it's not that they have a low tolerance, it's just that it feels different to them. Imagine yourself in a situation that was overwhelmingly overstimulating. Maybe you are at a dinner party and people are really packed in, they're crowded. Someone is sitting right next to you and they're trying to get your attention. They're pulling on your shoulder, they're talking right up to your face. Maybe they've got garlic breath. And maybe while all this is happening, your feet are also in hot sand. And there's a band playing way too loudly and you can't even think. So obviously this is a nightmare situation, but for children with processing issues, what we perceive as to be a normal and tolerable amount of sensory input can seem overwhelming in that way to them. So when things are overwhelming, you can imagine in that situation, you would not be at your best. It would be very hard for you to manage your emotions and your behavior as well. So we do need to be able to adjust our expectations for our children, especially if we do know that they have sensory processing needs. And there are different supports you can get. You can get earmuffs or You can cut tags out of shirts. These things go a long way to help your child succeed. But also get face to face and play with your child how they want to play. Maybe you think the doll or the truck should be used in this way, but maybe they've got a whole other way of playing with it. So of course, there are times when you want to be teaching them more functional play skills, play in the way that that the toy is meant to be used. But other times when you are trying to connect and understand your child, go into their world and play how they would like to play. And if they are not ready to play with you right now, ask them if you can watch them. Say, I would like to watch you play right now. And let them play how they would like to play. See how that goes. So first, now that we've made our connections, first of all, we need to be present. So this is especially important in the case of things have gone off the rails and we are now in the middle of a meltdown. Maybe we're at the grocery store, maybe we're at home. There's no good place for this, and there's no way to make this easy. But it's a fact of life in many families, and so we're going to try and get through this as painlessly as possible. So when your child is in the middle of a meltdown, it's important for you to be a supportive presence. So you're going to be co-regulating with them. So maybe it's too loud, maybe the fluorescent lights are too bright. Maybe for whatever, maybe your child was expecting something to go one way and it went another way. For whatever reason, your child has lost control and they are in the middle of a meltdown. So first of all, you have to make sure the area is safe for them and for if you have other children or for anyone else. And get close to your child and be a calm and stable presence. You can see this lovely picture here on the side. When their storm meets our calm, co-regulation occurs. If they are shouting and kicking and now you are panicking, which is natural, it's only going to escalate. If you can take a breath, and even if you are not calm, if you can pretend to be calm, it can help the situation in the immediate present. So be a calm and stable presence and just sit quietly and close. And when your child is ready to hear some words, the words you can say are, I'm here. It will be okay. Not it is okay. It will be okay. Because maybe it isn't okay right now, right? I understand. If you do understand. And let me help you. So this is a very tempting time to have a lecture and say, this is not the place for this. It's not going to help. You're right. It is not the place for this, but it's not going to help. It's not going to help you and it's not going to help your child to calm down faster. So it might seem counterintuitive to, instead of lecturing your child to stop, just to be there for them. They don't like being in this situation either. It's probably painful, it's exhausting. Nobody wants to be in the middle of a meltdown. Be there for them and be a teammate for them as they are learning, as they are calming themselves down. So remember, mid-meltdown is not a great moment for learning to occur. They're not going to hear what you're saying if you try now. So the best thing is just be there for them. So step 2 is to empathize and label their emotions. Most children and many adults are not properly equipped to label their own emotions to themselves or to others yet. A lot of us, even those of us who are very much into learning about emotion coaching, maybe don't have, maybe a lot of people resort to emotional eating instead of emotional feeling. And that is one way of coping. It's not a healthy way of coping. So it's best at a young age to learn to label and feel your own emotions. And so your job as a parent is to empathize with your child and give them the words they need. So we've seen this card before, listen and respond. In this case, we're going to listen to our child, either their words or listening with your heart almost to what you perceive is happening to them from their perspective. Remember, you are now in their shoes. You've made that connection. You are equipped to understand their sensory needs, and to imagine what they're going through. So now you are listening with your ears and with your eyes and with your heart to what they're going through. And you're not guessing. Well, you're sort of guessing, but you're making an educated guess to how they are feeling. So you're listening empathetically, because if you want to help them label their emotion, you have to know what they're feeling. So listen to your child, look at them for clues, and use your imagination to see the problem from their perspective. And so now is the time that you can acknowledge their feelings out loud. And remember, all feelings and all wishes are natural and acceptable. It's our actions that are not necessarily acceptable. So if your child is frustrated, you want to also match your voice to their emotion. So instead of saying, "Oh, it looks like you're frustrated," no, you don't want to hear that, and they don't want to hear that either. What you can say is, "Oh, this is frustrating." And you can show them that you understand their frustration. And you can also, it's also showing them, pairing the word that you would like them to learn with what they see on your face and with what they feel in their own body. So maybe you see your child building a block tower and the smaller child comes in, knocks it down. That is frustrating. Your child has been working on that for a long time. Or maybe they're building the blocks and it just keeps falling down on its own. Or maybe they're gluing stuff together and the glue is slip sliding everywhere. So you can match the emotion. This is frustrating. Or maybe, "Oh, this is so disappointing. We wanted to go to the park today. We really did. And now it's raining. That is so disappointing." There are things that you cannot change for your child, but you can always let them know that you are there with them as a partner in their feelings. Another thing is, if your child is more visual, you can also acknowledge their feelings through art. So if your child is very sad, you can try and draw a sad face and then, say, "How many tears do you need today?" And you can work together to add enough tears. And maybe the whole paper will be full, or maybe there will only be 3 tears, but the experience will be positive for your child. They will know that you are working to understand their feelings. And it might even be a little bit fun. It might be a distraction. Once their feelings are acknowledged, you don't want to distract them from their feelings right away. That's not teaching them how to deal with their emotions. And later on, they might go ahead to distract themselves from their emotions, in less healthy ways. So what you want to do is acknowledge their emotions. But you don't need to let an emotional episode go on, forever. So, after the feelings are acknowledged, it is okay to start having, when your child is sort of feeling ready, to start having fun with them, not at their expense, but like if while you're drawing a picture or something, sort of an empathetic, sort of a gentle fun. You can also empathize with them by sort of giving them what they want, but only wishfully. So, so for example, let's say you are somewhere really fun, you're at the park, and your child doesn't want to go home, but it's time to go home. You're not going to give in to them. It's time to go home. It's lunchtime. So you empathize with them. "Oh, you sound disappointed to leave. You were having so much fun." And then you can say, this is when you can give them in wish. "I wish we had our dinner here with us today so we could stay all day. I wish we had spaghetti and pizza and chips. I wish we had 100 dinners so we could stay here and play forever." It's goofy. You have acknowledged their feelings, and they know that you are there with them. But then you're also having a little bit of fun. And I think the idea of 100 dinners might be fun for your child to imagine. And again, you can use words or draw a picture. So let's say you wanted to go to the park, but it's raining. So you can draw a picture. You bad rain, why don't you fall at night when you're not bothering anyone? We want to go to the park and it's so frustrating waiting for a sunny day. And then you can draw a picture of the park and you can work together to try and remember all the good things that are at the park. And you can draw a sun in the sky, or you can ask them what kind of weather they would like at the park. Maybe they want snow at the park. Or, maybe they want water, but only on the slide, so it's a water slide. You've acknowledged their feelings, and you're working together to maybe just sort of shift the mindset about the disappointment for now. So as I mentioned earlier, although all feelings are okay and all feelings are natural, not all behaviors can be acceptable. So now is the time. Your child is feeling calmer. Now is the time, not for a lecture, but to work on setting limits on behaviors. Behaviors do often come when we have our big feelings. And but if a behavior is destructive or dangerous to your child or to people around them or things around them, it can't be allowed. Even if your child is, is having really big feelings, or regardless of their needs, if there are people around them in danger, you do need to try to set limits on that behavior. So we're not punishing your child, you're teaching your child. So you need to take action respectfully and also firmly. And we're not putting any blame on your child. And you focus rather than focusing on your child, you're focusing on the behavior that your child was displaying. So for example, here it says, it's okay to feel angry and frustrated, but it's not okay to throw blocks at your baby sister. I'm scared that someone is going to get hurt. I can see that the blocks are not working out right now, so I'm going to put them away for another day. You can come do Play-Doh on the table in the kitchen near me, or do a puzzle in the living room. You choose. So you can see there's a lot happening here. The child is not being blamed. There's no you can't do this or you are bad for doing this. We're not saying any of that. But we are saying that blocks are not used for throwing. It's dangerous. You can acknowledge your feelings about it. I am scared that someone is going to get hurt. And it's okay to remove the blocks because they are dangerous right now. And then one strategy we often employ is to give 2 true choices. So here we can say, you can come do a puzzle on the table in the kitchen near me, or do Play-Doh in the kitchen near me, or do a puzzle in the living room. So it gives your child a choice. These are both calming activities for the most part, and they're also very different. So it gives your child a chance to have some of their power back, so that they're not feeling ashamed or feeling like they are a bad child. They're not. Their behavior was not acceptable, but they are not bad children. So it gives them a chance to choose, and you're a lot more likely to get a yes when you offer a choice than if you say, stop throwing blocks, and then letting your child try and come up with their own solution for, okay, well, if I'm not throwing blocks, then what am I doing? So you can let them know what they can do, and give them a choice, because maybe they don't feel like Play-Doh, or maybe they do feel like Play-Doh, but not when you tell them to do it. So if you give them a choice between 2 things, it helps them to think of what they do want to do instead. And especially giving one of the options near you will be nice. It lets them know that you are not accepting this behavior, but you do accept them as your child in your presence. Supporting problem solving. This will look different with different families. Different children are at different ages and stages and have different needs. So for some families, you can get very advanced with your problem solving, and especially for younger children, um, it's going to be a lot more of the parent or caregiver letting the child know how to solve the problem. So step 4 is problem solving. Um, to solve the problem, you need to first name the problem. So you can describe the problem. So let's say your child is drawing on the walls with markers. You can say, the problem is walls are not for markers. And at this point, you can take some time to imagine how your child is feeling. So maybe they're bored and they do want to be drawing. So the next step is we can ask for ideas. And these can be goofy ideas. And in fact, you want some of these ideas to be goofy, and you write down every idea, even the ones that are not acceptable to you. So what else could we draw on? Maybe can we draw on a box, a cardboard box? Yes, write that down. Could we draw on the cat? Let's see. You write it down. Can we draw on paper? Write it down. Can we draw on our belly buttons? Write it down. And you can add some of your own silly ideas. The idea is to get as many ideas out as possible and to make it a positive experience. And if it's a little bit silly, then it's more likely to be fun. In step C, that's when you decide which ideas are not acceptable. So some ideas your child might think are not good, and some of the ideas you might think are not good. Like obviously, you're not going to draw on the cat. Depending on your preferences, you probably don't want them drawing on their belly buttons. So this is when you rule out some of the ideas. And then you're left with a few options that are great ideas for both of you. And that's step D is to try them out. So a good idea then is to keep your list posted where it's visual and it takes up space, it takes up time, and you can always check back on it when you need it. So visual cues are a good idea. You can make a choice board. I'll show you that in a moment. And post it where the problem most often occurs. So the choice board that I made is for a little girl who gets frustrated by her baby sister, and her babies and instead of hitting her baby sister, her parents have looked for other solutions, other things that their daughter can do. So here's a choice board, and they came up with these ideas together as a team. Depending on the age and stage of your child, you might have to come up with more of these ideas based on the things that you know that they like, and things that are acceptable to you, not things that are going to cause more drama down the line. So if you know your child is really really connected to their iPad, you might not want to make iPad one of these things if then it's hard to transition your child away from the iPad. So these are things that your child likes, but things that don't cause drama on their own now too. So for your choice board, and I've provided there's a template if you click below in the description box, there's a template, or if you got the little resource bundle, there's a template attached to that as well. So for this, you can add your own pictures. You can draw the pictures. That's probably the quickest. You can take photographs of things around your house that your child likes to use, or you can find photos online and then print them. Probably the fastest is drawing if you're feeling up to it. And they don't have to be perfect pictures as long as you and your child both know what they represent. And maybe your child can help with the drawings. So these are, after you've gone through, so after you've listed some things that you can do when you're feeling frustrated with your baby sister, well, what are some things you can do? Well, can we close our baby sister in the room? Well, we'll write it down, but that's going to be one that we cross out later. Can you help out help out in the kitchen so that you can spend some time with a grown-up instead of the baby sister? Okay, we'll write that down. Can you ask for a hug? Yes, we'll write that down. Can you hit your baby sister? Well, we'll write it down, and then later we'll talk about why that one's not okay. So we can talk about different things that we can do, and then we choose the ones that are acceptable to both of us. So what this family ended up deciding was having a hug is a good idea. Coloring is a good idea. Maybe playing, maybe your baby sister is pestering you because she wants to play with you. So maybe you give up what you're doing for a little while and you try playing with your baby sister for a little while, because that might be more fun than having her pester you. Having a time in is an idea, a little quiet time alone with your books and a favorite chair, helping out in the kitchen or helping out somewhere with a grown-up, or just meditating and taking a breath. So then if you post this somewhere where the problem is most likely to occur, and your child can choose which one is the one that they would like to do this time. And so you are in charge, because in the end, these are all choices that you have approved of, but your child also feels like they're in charge because they've helped make this list. And even if they're too young to help generate the list, in the end, they get to choose which one they want to do right now. If 6 choices seems like too much for your child, you can also just start with 4 choices or even 2 choices and work your way up to 6. At the dollar store, they have these self-adhesive laminating sheets. So if you want to make your thing a little bit tougher, I think it's 3 of them for $2. So if you want to make your board a little bit sturdier, that works. Or even packing tape I've used in a pinch. You just cover the whole thing in packing tape on both sides. And they also have Velcro there. The other thing is the clear shelf liner also works quite well, the Mac Tack. And if this seems a little too crafty, you don't feel like printing out 2 pages and cutting and Velcroing, that's fine. Another way to make a choice board is to just put the pictures right on the page, and then your child can point to which one they like. And that's a little bit simpler. I like the Velcro one because your child really feels like they're making a choice as they pick it off and put it on. But if you ask them to point, maybe if you've got it on the fridge, they can choose a magnet and put the magnet on the one that they like. That's also a way that they can feel empowered by their choice board. So that's problem solving. And so we are through our co-regulating emotions. We were present for our child while they were struggling with their emotions. We empathized and labeled their emotions. We dealt with any behavior if necessary, and we helped them problem solve for next time. Now we're going to talk about building emotional literacy so that your child is better able to express their own emotions down the road. So those last strategies, those were for now we're in the middle of something and we need to take care of it. This is more of a long-term solution, sort of a plan. So this is for building emotional literacy. One of the best ways probably the best way to teach a child anything is through play. And so pretend play is one option for a lot of children. Maybe they're really into dinosaurs or really into trucks or really into crafts or dolls. You can find a way to work that in, work social emotional learning into that. So here you can see the parent is off the picture, but in the quote, "Oh no, look at Stegosaurus. He's looking so lonely. Maybe he wants to come help look for treasure too. Oh, thanks for including him, T-Rex. Now he's looking happy to be feeling like part of the team." So if your child is working through feelings of being left out, or maybe your other child is feeling left out and you are trying to work on that with your child, then during play is a good time to do this. Don't do this every time you play with your child. They're going to feel like they're being preached at. But building it in little by little is a fun way for them to practice what they're learning. Another thing you can use is printable emotion boards. So these are good for children who aren't yet able to express their feelings through words. So it gives them a chance. You can practice the words with them, and you can have them check in with their feelings every day. They're also good for parents when you're just first starting off teaching emotional literacy to your child, because you might also not have the, although you know all these feelings, you don't necessarily have them all at the tip of your tongue right away. So it might help you understand. These are not all emotions. Some of them are just feelings, like I'm feeling thirsty, I'm feeling sleepy, I'm feeling hungry, my body is hurt. These aren't emotions, but they are definitely things that we feel in our bodies that affect our behavior and can affect our emotional state as well. So you can ask your child every morning, or you know, not in the middle of a meltdown. That's not going to be, again, the right learning opportunity, but check in with your child now and then and ask them how they're feeling. And you can also tell them how you are feeling and why. You can also tell them, let them know, you know, earlier today, I was feeling really mad about something. You can tell them what, if you are comfortable with that. And you can also tell them how you took care of your anger, what you did so that you could feel more peaceful again. It humanizes you, and it also lets them know that it's normal to have feelings, and it's normal to talk about feelings, and it's normal to take care of your feelings. So this is one way to have a choice board. Another way, again, is with Velcro, and they can choose. And you can start with just 6 feelings or 4 feelings. You can start with 12. I have a choice board too that I've included that has, I'm feeling this and this. Don't start with that one. It's a lot. Start small, but eventually you'll want to move up to being able to understand that you can have 2 feelings at once, and feelings are complex. Another way you can use talk about emotions and feelings is through games. And these are specific, like, social emotional games. So here you can see the same images from here, but we've turned them into a die. So if you, this is also in the handout, if you print this and cut it out and glue, you can fold it up and glue it. There are instructions. You can turn it into a cube, and then you can use it like a dice or a die. There's also, you can use a mirror, and these are really cute. They're little emotion rocks. We have them in our center, but you can just use cards too, just like these cards. And you can practice making those faces. So you can do charades. You can do charades together. You can do charades together into a mirror and look at each other's faces. You can also take pictures of it and then make your own dice or your own emotion board. And, you know, with your faces showing off those different emotions. And especially if you have fun while you're doing it, then when your child is checking in with their emotions or their feelings, they'll have that positive memory of when you were working on it together. There's also, it's like dominoes, but it's emotionals. You can try and match the 2 emotions. So just play and, you know, make it, don't be too serious. Don't take it, you know, it's important, but it's also important to have fun. So don't take it too seriously. Try and be goofy while you play. There's also books. There are lots of great books for talking about feelings and emotions. In some of these books, so for example, like when Sophie gets angry, really, really angry, Sophie makes some choices, and it's debatable whether these choices are good or bad or safe. And you can talk about that in the context of your own family. So, you know, just because you don't agree with how Sophie handles her feelings doesn't mean that it's a write-off. You can still read that book, and it's a good opportunity, kind of a low stakes opportunity, to talk about what is okay to do when your child is upset. We also have, so this in the middle, these are the stories that we have so far added to our Big Feelings and Good Choices Story Times collection. This page is in your handout as well. And if you click on this, on the title, it'll take you to a video story time about these different behaviors and these different feelings. And it's a growing list, so this is what we have so far, but if you check back, we'll have more in the weeks to come. So we've talked about what to do in the middle of some big feelings, how to calm down and problem solve. We've talked about what to do in the long run to help your child build emotional literacy. And now we're just going to briefly touch on how to prevent a meltdown in the first place. It's not 100% effective, but and I know, like, everyone is busy. You can't always be exactly face to face with your child. Sometimes you are doing laundry or cooking or doing other things. But you'll find the more that you employ these strategies, the more likely it is that you will be preempting meltdowns. It's not 100% effective, but you will see a reduction. So again, get on your child's level. So being face to face, we've talked about this before. It helps promote communication skills. It gives your child a chance it's easier for your child to connect with you if they don't have to make an effort to find you. It also lets you see if something is going wrong with their play. So if your child suddenly is playing blocks, for example, and suddenly they're very upset, if you are in the next room, you don't necessarily know what went wrong. Maybe you're cooking dinner. It's, parents are allowed to be in the next room, but if you are, at the times that you are face to face, you will notice why your child is getting upset, and you might be able to steer them away from a meltdown before it happens. So it also makes being face to face also makes you more available to your child in case they are ready to communicate their needs to you. It's not always easy for children to think about what they need and turn it into concrete thought and turn it into words and then use those words to tell you. But if you are not there looking at them, it's even harder. So when you are face to face with your child, it is easier for them to begin that process of letting you know what they need. And if you're there with your child and you're learning to put on your boots, your winter boots, winter boots are so hard, but try to keep the learning experiences positive. So instead of letting your child become overly frustrated, see where you can offer some support as they continue to try. So you're not necessarily giving up and doing it for them, but if you're face to face, you can see when they're becoming, when they're starting to become frustrated, and you can offer a little support. You can, let them know that if they would like, they can put on their mittens first instead, maybe not mittens before boots, but maybe their hat instead before they try again. Or you can come behind them and help them with a little hand over hand for one, or even hold their boot. If it's a boot with a tongue, you can help them hold it open this time, and then show them how you're doing it. So being face to face helps you to see their process as they struggle, and you can help support them before they get overly frustrated. That doesn't mean you're doing everything for them, but you are there at least as an emotional support, and maybe even just a little bit of a physical support as they're learning. Exercise also can really, really help reduce stress and anxiety in everyone, kids and adults, and other animals too. When people are feeling big emotions, it's a good time to get some exercise. So that can be walking in nature, doing yoga, jumping, dancing, playing in the park, dancing to circle time or active time, or even pushing a wall. You can see this child. This is a trick from an occupational therapist. She really recommends pushing on a sturdy wall. It really, really helps reduce. It gets out some of the physical feelings that we have when we are feeling frustrated. You can also offer a time in. And so this is not a timeout. This is not a punishment. And you need to use it very carefully so that it doesn't become a timeout. It can maybe be offered as one of the choices on a choice board, so that you are not sending your child to their room, but you are allowing them to choose quiet time. So children can visit a designated cozy area, maybe in a little tent that they have, or in their room, or if they have a favorite chair, somewhere that they feel safe, and somewhere where they can feel comfortable and relaxed. Make it a welcoming space, and you can offer to join them. Again, it's not solitary confinement. It's a place where they can go to calm themselves down when they choose. And you can always offer to join them. So let's say your child is playing, maybe with another child or even with you, and it's very fun, but it starts to get wild. So you can say, this game is overwhelming and I'm afraid that someone is going to get hurt. I think a time in will help calm things down. Would you like me to come with you, or do you want to try it alone? And come back when you're ready. So this is not like, okay, you have to go for 5 minutes. This is, you can go. And when you feel that you are ready, come back. So again, it's not a punishment. It's just a self-regulation strategy. In their time in zone, you can see this area has a little box. I think they've got some kind of building blocks there. They also have little sensory bottles, which is nice. Children can watch the sensory bottle, watch the beads go up and down in the sensory bottle. Another thing you can include there are some favorite books or some soft toys for hugging, or some breathing cards. So this technique is called 5-finger breathing. And so you stretch your hand out like a star, and you get the pointer finger of your other hand to trace your fingers up and down. Slide up each finger slowly and slide down the other side. And you're going to breathe in and out through your nose as you trace your fingers. So breathing in to go up and breathing out to go down. So you can use this at any stage of your emotional regulation. If at the beginning, while your child is just starting, after you've supported your child, if they're maybe having a meltdown and you're supporting them and you're there and you say, I'm here for you, how can I help? Or I'm here to help you. Once your child is through that stage, if they're receptive to it, maybe some 5-finger breathing would be nice. And if you think they would like some extra touch, you can let them trace your hand for a little bit of extra connection. Because sometimes when we're melting down, it's, maybe we're seeking connection. So instead of thinking that your child is attention seeking, try and reframe it in your mind as connection seeking, and see how that changes how you feel about it next time. So let them connect with you by tracing your fingers, if you like. And I think you'll find it's a kind of a special practice if you can work that into your day. Maybe it's best to practice it when emotions are not running high. So maybe make this part of a bedtime routine. During a stage of the bedtime routine that is not a struggle. So once everyone is cozy and content, maybe between books or something, you can do some take 5 breathing, and you can do it together. You can trace their fingers, they can trace your fingers. And I think you'll find it's kind of a special way to practice regulating your breath and also connecting. Some days are not going to be good days. And there are definitely 3 prerequisites to having a good day. One, your children and grown-ups need sleep. So here there's a chart from Sick Kids about how much sleep your child needs. So toddlers between 1 and 3 need between 10 to 13 hours of sleep in a 24-hour period. And preschoolers 3 to 5 need 10 to 12. Children who sleep can concentrate better. They have better problem-solving abilities. They have more energy, and it's a lot easier for them to maintain good relationships with others. So it's very important to get enough sleep. And if you are finding that your mornings are rushed, if you're getting enough sleep, if you're sleeping in, it might mean that you need to adjust your nighttime schedule to get enough sleep so that you can wake up early enough so that your morning schedule is not frantic. So it's a little bit of math, but it's doable. Breakfast. Children need to eat. If they are hungry, and grown-ups too, if we're hungry, we're not at our best. And there are lots of reasons that a child might miss their breakfast. A long bus ride to school might mean that they have had to leave before breakfast time. A rushed morning routine means that maybe getting dressed took priority over eating. Maybe there wasn't healthy food at home today, or maybe your child wasn't hungry. Maybe they had too many activities today, or it could be that there was a family emergency. It's not a regular occurrence that your child missed breakfast, but you had something out of the ordinary happen, and breakfast couldn't take priority today. These are all reasons that lots of children don't have breakfast every day. And it's important to aim for having a regular, consistent mealtime so that your child can grow and also be at their best. A full tummy helps children to learn and grow. If missing breakfast is a regular occurrence at your house, think about why that is. And again, work together, do some problem solving to come up with a solution. So this, if your child if you have worked hard to get your child's breakfast ready and they are working hard not to eat it, maybe this is a good time for doing some of that problem solving. So you can state the problem, you can and try and think about how they feel about it as well. And then you can, taking into consideration maybe sensory processing issues, and then you can work together to think of some solutions. How can we make sure breakfast gets into you every day? And maybe some of those solutions will be sugar cubes for breakfast. Well, that one is going to have to be one that you cross off, but you can still write it down. Write down all the ideas, and then in the end, you can come up with your list of ways that breakfast time can be successful. Also, predictability makes a day go a lot more smoothly and makes emotional regulation a lot easier. If children know what's coming next, they're not anxious about their day as much. They're able to predict what's coming. So visual schedule can be a good way to create predictability. So this is a visual schedule just for getting ready in the morning. Wake up, use the toilet, eat breakfast, get dressed, brush teeth, get dressed for outside, get backpack, and go to school. So because it's visual, it gives information that doesn't go away like words do. Words, disappear as soon as you finish saying them. And it allows the child a little bit more time to process and understand the information, and also gives them some independence so that they can come back and check the schedule on their own without you constantly having to remind them. So remember, although emotional displays are difficult and tricky and frustrating, there are also opportunities for intimacy in teaching. So when your child is feeling extra emotional and maybe they're having a meltdown or they're just feeling very frustrated, that's when children need their parents and caregivers the most. So this is when you need to be there for them as a support and as a teammate rather than as an antagonistic figure. So there are important opportunities to talk, be close, and to impart family values, like sharing or being gentle. There are also chances for parents and caregivers to show their children that they're on the same team. So again, be a supportive person rather than someone else adding frustration to their frustration. And so these are some of the resources I used for this presentation. I highly recommend all of these books and all of these websites if you are looking to work on emotional regulation with your child. Thank you for joining me, and we'll see you next time.